Another thing manipulators do is blame shift. It's always someone else's fault. I'm like this because it's that guy's fault. Or I'm like this because somebody else did that. Now, granted, there are cases in which somebody's past does influence who they are. But the bottom line is it might influence you, might pull you in a certain direction. But each individual action is you making a choice. But manipulators will blame shift. Luke 23:5. And they were the more fierce, saying, He stirreth up the people, teaching throughout all Jewry, beginning from Galilee to this place. Now here's the thing. The Jews were stirred up in Rome long before Jesus came along. As a matter of fact, Judah lost the ability to legally enact the death penalty, a fulfillment, by the way, of Genesis 29:10. And the very reason they needed to come to the Roman government to put Jesus to death was due to their own uprisings. It's how they lost the ability to do it legally on their own. This is what manipulators do, folks. They refuse to take responsibility and they shift it onto someone else. If they do take responsibility, usually it's very minimal. If something happens, they make sure to make it all your fault. They claim innocence, no matter what the evidence is against them. It's always somebody else. I never do anything wrong.
Look at my halo.
Yeah, right. Meanwhile, you turn around, they take that halo off their head and throw it at you like a ninja star. Anyway, what about the wife who's caught having an adulterous affair? I did it because I was lonely. I did it because you don't do X. She'll come up with any reason that it's not her fault. Now, how about the husband who physically abuses his wife and kids? And he says, you made me do this. No, you made you do that. You had a choice. No matter how crazy she might get, you had the choice to walk away. By the way, husbands, little secret, don't call her crazy. You will pay. Anyway, the guy, for example, who might go out drinking with his buddies after promising his wife he'll be home for their child's birthday. But my friends drug me kicking and screaming out. I didn't want to go. I wanted to be home. But they said, oh, it's just going to be a little while. Come out with us. So they just wouldn't take no for an answer. It's not my fault. Okay. When I worked in pro wrestling, there was in one of the companies I worked for, there was a 2-man promoting and booking team. One of these guys, they ran a card with a lot of stars on them, a lot of high-paid talent. And this one guy took credit for everything before the show. But when it was discovered that he had gone way over budget, he changed the story and he blamed the other promoter. Well, it was all him. He's the one who did it. Well, when I told him, hey man, you can't have things both ways, his response to me was, you're not loyal to me. Excuse me? You don't have to sit there and lie to me and tell me 2 different things, contradictory things. When I call you out on it, suddenly you say I'm not loyal. That's nonsense. So this guy spent too much money and essentially scapegoated the other guy after saying everything was him making the decision. And when someone pointed out that he can't have it both ways, he avoids the issue and scapegoats now the conversation into the loyalty of the person who brought up the contradiction. That's manipulation. There's a Christian school here in Texas where I used to work. They were investigated for grade tampering years ago. They were changing grades behind the scenes, allegedly. I can be honest, having taught there and having seen some of the things that went on, to me it's not so allegedly, but for legal purposes I will say allegedly. Despite many teachers affirming that grades of some students were changed, which by the way is against the law. His comment about this and his response was, the devil is attacking our school. He's trying to extinguish our light in the community. Okay, so now we got a guy, a supposed Christian guy, scapegoating the devil for his own decisions. Now I'm sure the devil was involved in it, but not the way this guy is trying to make it sound. And by the way, this does kind of sound familiar. The serpent beguiled me and I did eat. Uh-oh. Folks, this is what manipulators do. They commit an act in bad faith, pun intended, and blame someone else for the consequences they themselves caused.